Every year, more and more expats are moving to Mexico City for the lower cost of living. In fact, according to a cost of living index by Numbeo, the rent index is 20.43 compared to New York City. This means on average, rent is about 80% less in Mexico City. With lower rents, that will mean lower rental prices if you are looking to visit. But just how cheap and what type of places can you expect for such low prices? Well, today I will be showing you an Airbnb I booked in the Cuauhtemoc area of Mexico City for just $19 a night. What's going on, everybody? My name's Ethan and I'm standing outside the building where my Airbnb is in the Cuauhtemoc, not sure if I'm saying that right, feel free to correct me, the neighborhood of Mexico City. I'm gonna pop up a bunch of timestamps on screen right now if you guys wanna kind of jump around. First, I'm gonna give you guys the tour of the Airbnb, then we'll talk things about like the location, safety, different amenities, and basically what makes a good or bad Airbnb in Mexico City. Like I said earlier, I got this Airbnb for $19 a night. I think with fees, it ended up being like a couple bucks more, but we'll talk about that later when I talk about prices in this place versus different areas around Mexico City. But enough talking about that, let's go inside and give you guys a tour of this Airbnb. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Man, it must be nice to have a videographer because it would make this so much easier to film. So this is the 1-bedroom apartment I'm staying at in the Cuauhtemoc area. Again, I'm still not sure I'm saying that right. I looked it up like 3 or 4 times and there's like different pronunciations, so I don't know. Someone can fill me in. But basically the apartment opens up into this wide living area where there's like a little living room, then the kitchen is off here to the left, and then there is a storage closet over there to the right. So let's talk about the kitchen first. So as someone who runs a cooking YouTube channel, and I actually filmed like 4 different videos in here, this was one of the reasons that it actually drew me to this Airbnb. I saw it was kind of this open space. It had all of the necessary things that I need. It has a gas stove, got the range hood over top. And then in here, there's plenty of like dishware, cups and plates and bowls and things. And this Airbnb actually came with a sharp knife. If anyone likes cooking and knows about renting places, you know that you'll never get sharp knives in rentals. But I think this one has not been used very much. I actually travel with a whetstone. You guys will see that later in case knives aren't sharp. But overall, the kitchen's really nice. You have all the basics that you need from silverware. There's actually like some spices and things like that. So overall, was really happy with the kitchen. And then turning around from the kitchen is this nice long table. You can easily fit like 5 or 6 people. This is where I've been doing like all of my editing and just, you know, browsing the internet or doing whatever. And this is actually where I was prepping my food for the cooking videos that I did. And then moving back from the table, we have this nice kind of small living space right here. Got a nice like love seat couch. This doesn't pull out or anything. And then there's the coffee table down here to hold random stuff. And then that is the main window in the living room. It actually has 2 sets of blinds. I pulled that down just because of the lighting. It wasn't letting me see anything. And then if I turn this camera around, there's actually a TV back on the wall where you can watch TV, chill out, do anything that you want to. When you open up the window like this, you can see that it opens up into this back courtyard. This is like the 3rd out of 4th floor, so you still get a ton of natural light that comes in. Now, obviously it would be nice to have like this amazing view or something, but it's better than like looking out onto the roads because the windows can be pretty thin in some places I've stayed and it can be pretty loud. So if you're a light sleeper, it may not be the best, but this is a good option because it's kind of off the road and it's plenty quiet in here. All right, and then moving through the living room into the bedroom, which is really, really nice and spacious. So moving into the bedroom, I actually really like the layout of how he designed it. So obviously you got the one bed in the middle, so this is perfect for one person. For two people, yeah, it might be a little small. I think it's a double bed, like a queen would be perfect. But then it's got these nice accentuating lights in here, and then there's kind of like this Buddha vibe thing up here, and there's also a Buddha little shelf over there. Overall, this room is very spacious, and when you kind of kick back and relax, it's a nice spot to sleep. It's super, super quiet, which is really nice because like I said, I stayed in a different Airbnb, which was by a main road, and it was really loud at night. I mean, I'm a heavy sleeper, so it was fine, but if you were a light sleeper, you may want to invest in some earplugs. But knowing that you're not by a main road is gonna give you a good night's sleep every single night. So just turning you around a little bit, on this back wall here are where the closet space is, and I mean, there is a ton of closet space. Two wide open doors there, two wide open doors there, and then shelves for storage, and then also plenty of drawer space for whatever you want to store in there. And then turning around from the bed, there is another TV up here in case you wanna watch something, but I feel like most of us just watch like Netflix on our phone or laptops anyway, so you know, having a TV I feel like isn't a big deal for most people. And then lastly, to end off this tour, let's pop in and see the bathroom. So the bathroom may be a tiny bit small, but I didn't find it to be an issue at all. You've got everything you need. You've got a huge walk-in shower. You've got the toilet. You got the little Buddha head above the toilet. Then you have, you know, your towels, the sink, everything that you could need in a bathroom. I mean, outside of that, what more do you need? It's clean. It's got everything that you need. No more to it. All right, you guys ready to talk about some different amenities? So obviously you have Wi-Fi. I feel like that's pretty standard in most Airbnbs these days. I was getting around like 20 megabytes per second down and about 30 megabytes per second up. So good enough for like streaming shows or just general internet browsing. And then the upload speed was pretty good because I needed to upload videos while I was here, so I definitely appreciated that. Now, an amenity that you don't have is there's no air conditioning and there's no heating. Now, in Mexico City, it kind of makes sense why most places aren't gonna have these because it's fairly temperate most of the year round. Right now it's in the winter, so we're getting like mid 40s in the morning, and then it's getting into like the mid 70s during the day. I haven't had any issues like feeling cold in any of the places that I've stayed at, and this one is no exception. Another thing that this place doesn't have is a washer or dryer. That is also fairly typical of the places I've stayed at. I don't think I've stayed at a single place with a washer and dryer. So you will need to go out and find a place where you get your laundry done, but there's usually a ton of places around town. Next, let's talk about location. Everyone says it's always about location, location, location. So is this Airbnb in a good location? Overall, I would say it is in a very good location. This Airbnb is in Cuauhtemoc, which feels like a slightly newer area. There's more apartment complexes and things compared to older houses like those in Condesa or Roma, which are other neighborhoods in Mexico City. And this area is actually home or really close to some of the foreign embassies. I think the US embassy is only like a 10-minute walk away from this Airbnb. So if I was worried about safety, I mean, having the US embassy close by seems like a good thing to have. Also, location-wise, it is pretty central, so you're gonna be close to popular neighborhoods like Polanco, Centro Historico, Condesa, and Roma. They're all within kind of like mile to 2-3 miles. Now, there is one downside to this location in that it's actually not close to any metro stops. So I think the closest metro stop is about 15 minutes away, which obviously is not ideal if you are taking the metro around. That being said, Ubers are probably the most efficient and fastest way to get around regardless compared to the buses or the metro. But obviously Ubers are gonna be more expensive than that too. So if you were planning to use the metro a lot to get around Mexico City, I would definitely try to find an Airbnb that has a stop at least maybe like a 5-minute walk away. It just makes things much easier to get around if you are taking the metro. But overall, I've just been walking a ton because I'm here for so long, so I don't mind getting to places like the fastest way possible. And I actually like walking around, being in the fresh air. You know, it feels good to have some sunshine in January. As far as location goes for food, there are plenty options around. There's a grocery store just 1 block away, which is actually super useful. In addition to that, Mercado Cuauhtemoc is about a 10-minute walk away, where you can find all kind of vendors selling various produces and foods and things of that nature. It's definitely a very authentic market, just a little bit on the smaller side compared to something like Mercado Medellin. Overall, wherever you stay in Mexico City, I'm convinced you're always going to have something hot and delicious close by. You know, whether that is just some street food, it's some of the best food that I've had down here. I really haven't had any issues finding something to eat at literally all times of the day. Okay, now I want to talk about some comparable places and prices actually on Airbnb, so you can kind of get a flavor of other different places. Like I said, I got this place for $19 a night. With fees, it was a little bit more than that. But I think this was like the absolute steal. I don't think you're gonna find a better place when it comes to location, price, and the actual house or apartment that I'm staying in. For a place like this, I think overall you're probably looking closer to like $30 to $40 a night. But let's take a quick look at Airbnb and see what we can find. Okay, so I'm in the Airbnb browser and I'll pop it up for you guys to see, but I just put in like March dates, 1 guest, and having an entire place to yourself, and this is what we see. So obviously right in this area, we're seeing a lot around like $20 to $30 to $40 a night. Let's check out this $24 one a night. And like obviously this looks decent, but obviously I wouldn't say it's as nice as this place. Let's take a look at this refurbished loft down here for $38 a night. So obviously this looks really, really nice, and I would probably put this maybe a little bit ahead or just about on par as this place. But again, that's for $38 a night, which is actually double what I paid for this place. So that doesn't really surprise me in like that $30 to kind of $40 a night for this place. But let's compare that to some prices in some other popular neighborhoods like Condesa and Roma. Okay, so now I've got some apartments listed in the Condesa area, and this is actually where I've been staying the most of my time. I'm actually sharing a room. I don't have an entire place myself. But as you can see, when you do get an entire place to yourself, it's gonna be in like that $30 to $40 range. And obviously like this one that I'm looking at right now is really nice, has everything you need, but again, much more expensive than what I paid for this place. You may be wondering how I got $19 a night, and I think the main thing is that I was actually the first guest to stay here. It's a new listing, but I'm sure as Christian, my host, gets good reviews, he'll start raising the price, because I definitely would pay like $30 to $40 a night for this, no questions asked. All right, lastly, let's talk about everyone's favorite topic when traveling, and that is safety. So as with any place that I'm traveling, even if it's in the US, like to New York City or Chicago, I'm definitely gonna be a little bit more hesitant about safety. Make sure I have all my belongings with me, making sure I've got my backpack looped up tight, and when I'm walking around, especially when I'm walking around with a camera, trying to be a little bit more cognizant of my surroundings. Now that being said, I have had 0 issues in Mexico City. I have felt completely safe at all times. Said obviously I'm staying in some of the nicer neighborhoods on purpose, as well as not going and staying out late by myself. Most nights I'm back by 10 p.m. at the latest, so I've had 0 issues with any kind of safety concerns. So overall, I would rate this Airbnb a 5 out of 5. The location is really, really good. Obviously, the one minor mishap is that there's not a metro station close by, but if I'm taking Ubers or just walking, not a big deal. The actual interior and amenities of the apartment, it has everything that I could possibly need, especially for one like me where I wanted to be cooking in a kitchen and I had this nice open space to kind of maneuver around in and make my videos. Lastly, for $19 a night, you absolutely cannot beat that price, which we've kind of seen based on looking at some different Airbnb prices. Overall, I would highly recommend Mexico City as a place to visit. Between the food, and I'm telling you, the food is so good no matter where you go, whether it's a restaurant, a street food, or just someone who is selling tamales on the side of the street. It's unbelievably good and flavorful. There's a ton of good things to see, like in Centro Historico. You can go to Chapultepec Park and just around to the different neighborhoods, which each kind of have their own vibe, and it's quite cool to kind of compare and contrast the different neighborhoods of Mexico City. So if you guys are thinking about traveling to Mexico City, hopefully this gives you some ideas on different places that you can kind of expect to stay in. And if you have any more questions, feel free to drop them down in the comments below. But overall, that is going to wrap it up for me, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.